Hi, welcome back to the Bitcoin Brew. I'm Becca, here with my co-host Amy. Just for the record, neither one of us are financial advisors, and this programming is for education and entertainment purposes only. We are supported by the TBC, a nonprofit advocacy group for blockchain, crypto, and Bitcoin innovation here in Texas. But these opinions are just our own, so please like and subscribe to our channel. This week, Texas A&M Engineering Department plugged in an S19 thanks to a donation from the Texas Bitcoin Mining Foundation. Apologies for throwing shade at A&M last week. Gotta do what you gotta do. Bitcoin is down 10%, trading around 20,000, and the merge was a success earlier this morning. We'll get to that more later. Hot topics today include Starbucks' latest foray into Web3, Blockchain Association's PAC, the White House report on crypto's impact on the environment, and Fidelity opening up more Bitcoin services. So let's get started.
So I would be remiss if I didn't talk about one of the biggest coffee moguls in the industry coming in to the space. They provided our coffee today. Thank you, Starbucks.
Cheers to that.
I still had to buy it, but we appreciate it. Starbucks is actually an innovative organization that has paved the way in making tech accessible to the general public. Did you know they paved the way for Wi-Fi in stores, mobile wallets even before Apple Pay, and were one of the first to integrate mobile ordering during the pandemic? And now they're taking the rewards program to the next level in the form of Starbucks Odyssey, a series of games and challenges users complete to earn journey stamps. These will earn you points that will unlock exclusive benefits, merchandise, trips, and all of this is made possible using Web3 technology, specifically Polygon, a proof-of-stake blockchain associated with Ethereum's network by using non-fungible tokens. You can purchase your NFTs using your credit or debit card, or you can earn them through this program. Proceeds will be given to causes chosen by customers and employees. But what's really cool about this is that customers and users aren't going to know that this is Web3 blockchain technology. This is just going to add like a whole new layer of the loyalty program.
Oh, that's so interesting. Okay.
Right? And actually, Starbucks is good with that. They don't necessarily want people to know about all of that because they claim it lowers the barrier of entry. So this week, the waitlist for Starbucks Odyssey opened, and they aim to launch later this year.
That's some big changes. Sorry, my voice sounds so... Oh, hit my mic too. My voice sounds so raspy. I think that's very interesting that they don't really want users to know what they're interacting with. And personally, I'm excited. I don't really ever go to Starbucks, but maybe I will now. Got to start using their app apparently to win some trips.
Same here. And have you ever been to a Starbucks Reserve?
No, I don't know what that is.
They have one at the shops at Legacy. It's super cool. It's like a lab of coffee, and they have all these like cool machines and different beans, and it's like a more elevated experience.
Okay.
And you can unlock sort of rewards there as well.
Okay, maybe I'll give it a shot.
I feel like it's kind of like a Pokemon.
Shot of espresso.
Ooh, that sounds good. It's kind of like Pokemon Go for adults that like coffee. Like, you know,
yes.
Go around and earn different challenges. I don't know. We'll see.
The only time I really go to Starbucks is on your birthday. Kids, they give you a free drink.
Oh, I didn't know that. And your birthday's coming up.
It is, but we don't need to talk about that.
Oh, okay, moving on.
Okay. All right, so we all know money is how change happens when it comes to politics. So we're glad our friends over at the Blockchain Association are making this happen. It was announced earlier this week that the Trade Organization for Federal Lobbying is launching a PAC. So a PAC stands for a Political Action Committee, and it's a fund of money that pays lobbyists to get work done. Our system is so very, very flawed, but this is the reality of what we're working with here. Kristen Smith is the president of the Blockchain Association and a friend of the TBC. In fact, earlier this year, she sat down with Lee to talk about what's happening in the Bitcoin space at Consensus. So you can see that on our YouTube channel. So apparently this was a much needed project because it was reported that the crypto industry donated more to political campaigns than the oil and gas industry. That is incredible. So Kristen Smith, the Blockchain Association PAC, said they plan to donate 50% to Republicans and 50% to Democrats. I really appreciated that. I think that's a huge win because Bitcoin and crypto can be seen as such a, I mean, we've talked about this almost every show, how it can be seen as so, lopsided and I don't even know what the word would be like more of a conservative issue, but it is such a bipartisan topic. And so I'm really glad to see that they are on the front lines working to make that, so sorry, am I making sense?
No, you are making sense. And I've been holding on to an Easter egg that you said a moment ago, that we're reaching a point where the crypto community has donated more than the oil and gas.
I mean, the Wall Street Journal article that I read, that's what they said. So that is monumental. And I think it does make sense because, for one, it's a very profitable industry. And there's such a need for policy. So I think, Sam Bankman-Fried has been on the front lines of that. Pretty sure he's donated more than anyone else, but that, adds up to his net worth. Anyway, all that to say is I'm glad that they're getting involved. They're not just sitting back, taking a back seat. Making this happen.
I mean, we know oil and gas, they're going to have deep pockets, the barons and baronesses that, are the oil people. And I see a good partnership between the crypto community and the oil and gas community.
Oh, 100%.
Kind of a dangerous combination when those two get together.
Mm-hmm. I think Exxon is already mining Bitcoin or something like that. So one of the major companies is for sure.
And they're used to having the EPA kind of breathing down their neck, which
for sure
takes me to my next piece about the White House report.
Yes.
Did you hear about that?
Well, I'm anxious to hear more.
It launched right after our last show, but the White House earlier this year issued an executive order calling on various agencies to make policy recommendations surrounding digital assets. The order also instructs agencies to conduct research and development of a U.S. central bank digital currency if it's considered in the national interest. Biden's order outlines 6 priorities for national policy, including consumer and investor protection, financial stability, illicit finance, U.S. leadership and economic competitiveness, financial inclusion, and responsible innovation. The first report in a series to come, conducted by the Office of Science and Technology, was released on Thursday last. And it studies the underlying technology of Bitcoin, a process called proof of work, and its impact on the environment. It suggests that proof-of-stake blockchain technology is superior to proof of work from an energy consumption perspective and calls for the crypto industry to do their part to reduce greenhouse emissions by 50% by 2030. The U.S. is home to 38% of global Bitcoin energy consumption. Cardano and Solana were heralded as the greenest blockchains, and fortunately the report did highlight some positive use cases of proof-of-work blockchains. Firstly, strengthening the grid, and secondly, climate mitigation. So to place executive restrictions on Bitcoin mining would take a literal act of Congress, but this is a step towards a federal reach on the industry. The team here suggests a couple things to do. First of all, we're gathering more data about demand response and flexible loads. We also are continuing to educate policymakers about the incentivization of renewables. And thirdly, keep on mining, Texas. Interestingly, Bitcoin mining has been at an all-time high just after the report was released. And we talked about this in the intro, Ethereum moved from proof of work to proof of stake successfully today.
Yeah, I think middle of the night, early this morning, something like that.
Man, it seems a little uncanny that the timing of the report and the merge happened at such, similar time periods.
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all that this is what the report says. Of course, they're going to be more proof of stake because it is not decentralized. It's a completely different type of project than proof of work. So, I guess 2 years ago now, China banned Bitcoin mining. Well, it was just recently reported that 10% of the Bitcoin network is still happening in China. It's literally impossible to ban Bitcoin mining because it is decentralized. It is a money for the people. It's a currency that doesn't have any barriers or boundaries or prerequisites to use. So I think that's an important thing to highlight, is that of course big governments like ours they do amazing things. They're very helpful and we need them. but they're not going to be pro decentralization. And so they're going to hit the energy narrative as hard as they can because that's their biggest, like talking point right now. And I am very pro environment. I think it's extremely important to take good care of our, environment, to be a good steward, all of those things. And I think Bitcoin mining is one of the greenest industries out there. And I think it's a really great goal for Bitcoin mining to cut energy usage by 50% or non-renewable. I think the more and more we can work towards that, the longer, Bitcoin can exist without a bunch of bad feedback or bad press, which is really important. So I think it's just, they're kind of working the narrative to how they want it to appear, especially in front of the elections. I mean, even like with gas prices coming down, like that's because Biden is using our reserves. And so what is he going to do after the elections, which I voted for Biden. I'm very pro-Democrat. I don't have anything against them. I'm just frustrated at how this has all gone down in the last 2 years. And I know a lot of people feel that way too. But gas prices are going to shoot through the roof more than likely after the elections in November. So it's just, there's lots of moving pieces here. I think people need to understand that Bitcoin mining can be really good for the environment. I'm glad that they highlighted that in the report, even if it's at the end. Anyway, that's my soapbox.
Wow, you're impassioned about that.
I do feel very strongly about it because I think it's, if you don't understand the value of Bitcoin, of course, it's easy to jump on the bandwagon of, oh, well, it uses too much energy, it's bad for the environment. To be honest, it doesn't use very much energy in the grand scheme of things. It's less than 1%, I'm pretty sure, of the entire Texas grid. So, I mean, you have to look at it in like a very zoomed out view.
I respect that. I do.
Yeah.
And this is very simplistic, but from what I'm getting is proof of work, proof of stake. Proof of stake, you're running on GPUs, video cards. You're not using the ASICs like we brought in a couple weeks ago, the larger computers that require more energy. So is that where that big difference in energy is coming from?
I really do want to study this more because I understand it, as like a 1 inch deep type of understanding. But I think the nodes is where it really, what it comes down to. So if you can control who has a node and who runs it, so one of the biggest things, or one of the easiest ways that I understand it is if you have Google, Apple, Walmart, Target, whatever, these huge companies, if they run nodes, I mean, you can say, oh, well, it's decentralized because they all have to agree on changing something. But then you think about the millions of other people that use their products and are influenced by them. That's kind of what proof of stake is like. So it's so proof of work is the people control it. Proof of stake is a select few control what's happening on the network. So this is how the Terra Luna crash happened, is because they said, oh, well, it's, there's enough decentralization or whatever. But really, it was like a few people that controlled all of these networks. So
okay,
that's just my basic understanding. I really want to dive deeper into this because it's clearly an important topic.
And supposedly there's a few pages in this report where they do a really good job of describing.
I'm sure you could have explained it better.
No, I still need to read the full report.
Anyway.
I'm just taking kind of high level summaries of it, but it might be a good place to read. And
I will, for sure.
Me too, I will as well. Homework.
Speaking of money and decentralization and governments, really, Fidelity Investments is considering expanding investment opportunities into Bitcoin. The financial giant has already taken a very pro-Bitcoin stance previously, especially for organizational investing. They've recently stated they want to make it easier for individuals to invest in Bitcoin. A few months ago, a group of senators led by the one and only Elizabeth Warren, I think there was 3 senators total, denounced Fidelity for offering Bitcoin investing for 401ks, basically for the everyday person to invest in Bitcoin. They said, oh, how can you take an average bank account of $30,000 and tell them to invest in Bitcoin, such a volatile asset, which I appreciate. I mean, that's something that needs to be highlighted. But I mean, on the flip side, she must think that the Federal Reserve is doing just fine, which is not the case. Jokes aside, Fidelity is doing an amazing job of allowing Bitcoin investing and hopefully educating their clients along the way, like I just mentioned, and I hope they keep it up. I did hear that they sent a mass communication out a while back stating that Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that they would suggest investing in, and I love to hear that. I was talking to a friend earlier today actually about she was like, so what's the point of Bitcoin? And I said, well, it's kind of like a gold, you know, like you need to, for people living in the US, if you're going to invest something, I think that a retirement fund is actually a really good place to start, not the whole thing, a fraction of it, because you just leave it there. And we've talked about this before, every 4 years, you're going to see a jump in Bitcoin. So you're going to make money. I don't know how it will compare to the economic moving parts of, you know, maybe gold will shoot through the roof or bonds, but that hasn't really been the case recently. So Bitcoin right now is the best investment, in my opinion, for a retirement account.
And with the retirement account, that's definitely going to take a low time preference because you're going to be letting it build over time.
Exactly.
Depending on how old or young you are. And
right.
It could be very lucrative in the long run.
It really could be. Yeah. So, all right. Well, mark your calendars and grab your ticket now for the upcoming Texas Blockchain Summit on November 17th and 18th, right after the election, in Austin, Texas. This will be a premier event in the Bitcoin and blockchain space with topics focused on Bitcoin and blockchain technology. Use our discount code at the bottom of your screen for 10% off your ticket price. That code is BTC Brew for you. You can also check out using PayPal. We will accept Bitcoin as well as ETH. Link to the summit website is below. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Hey, thanks for watching. The Texas Blockchain Council has more good videos where that came from, and we'd also love you to subscribe. We'll see you in November at the summit.